want to say. It's,
You can mute yourself if you need to. Here we are. We are live. Welcome back to the BK Rant and Rave Can I Rant debate series. We've had several debates already, and they've been lively topics. And we chose our topics based on things that we think people in the diaspora are talking about in their homes. And we just wanted to have a space where you can have civilized conversation, calm conversation, clear conversation, and you can hear different sides of things. And the issues that we've picked, especially the one today, I don't have a winner in this one. I don't think there is a clear choice. I think there are super arguments for both sides. And so let's get into it. So today's topic is, do we need to rethink the West Indian diet? All right. Well, my name is Jamila Glean. I represent BK Rant and Rave, the podcast. If you're not subscribed to the podcast already, then what are you doing? You need to go to bkrantandrave.com and subscribe to the podcast. We just finished up our 5th season, and now we're in the summer of fun. And the fun for the summer is the debate series. And so I will introduce to you my guests for today. Very briefly, very light. We have Jacques Graham, who is a restaurateur and the founder of JamaicanFood.com. And JamaicanFood.com's slogan is supermarket of the islands, supermarket of the islands. So it will be a website where you can go to purchase the foods that you are familiar with from the islands. Those that maybe you visited once or twice and you had that special something and you want to know where to get it. You're from there originally and you want to know where to get that food. That's where you'll be able to go, JamaicanFood.com. We also have Michael Bowen, better known as Stabby De Guard. I will try very, very hard on this debate to not butcher the Bajan accent or the Jamaican accent, but I make no promises.
You're doing fine.
Something's wrong in my brain. I don't know why I even attempt certain accents, because it makes no sense. But anyway, Stabby De Guard is a soca artist. Right now, he has a song called Belly. It's out now on iTunes and other platforms. So check it out, stream it, purchase it, do what you got to do, and look out for all of his other music. And look out for if he is performing in an area near you. He is also the co-founder of I'll Be Vegan, whose slogan is, I'll be healthy, I'll be happy, I'll be vegan. And I'm assuming both gentlemen would talk a little bit about both of those things at some point. But if they don't, you go and look it up, because that's what you have to do. That's your homework for the day, everyone. So, all right, let's get into this. So normally we do a coin toss. We're running a little late. So we did the coin toss before we started. So Stabby, I want to know, do you think we should rethink the West Indian diet? Here's your 5 minutes.
So first of all, good evening to you. Thank you for having me and the panel and everybody that locked on. Hopefully for some healthy dialogue. My name is Michael Bowen, as she said. I'm a soca artist from Barbados. To me, I think the process and how we cook food is based in sodium and sugar, which causes some what we call NCDs, which is non-communicable diseases, which is like diabetes, hypertension, and those kind of stuff. And before, if you go back years ago, when it was really plantation time, it made sense because we were always moving. And because we were a moving society, we could burn these calories, we could burn off the extra sugar. Our water intake was way better. When it comes to the air, the pollution, everything was way better. Even the food, even the same ground provision, the foods and the starches, they were of way higher quality. But in this time now, with all the pollution, I think at the age, when we talk about, when we look at data, the overall age group, people then is around like 50 somebody. When before, adult age would have been like in the 70s. So we would have those people who would retire, get to retirement age. But at this time now, every people that have diabetes, that have hypertension or suffer from these sort of ailments, don't live past 50 years old. So for me, that's important. That's fathers and that's mothers. The obesity rate gone up. And that's another thing too for like heart disease, same hypertension, blindness, all these different things, all these different ailments. So for me, I think it just needs restructuring and how we build our food, as in stews are usually built with burnt sugar. And we always add a lot of sodium. So I think replacing certain things like blackstrap molasses should be used as a browning and to brown the stew, which is more healthier, way more healthier, right? Because it's stripped of all the negative stuff that's in it from like the brown sugar and the white sugar, the starches like rice and stuff like that. I think portion control is important. So I don't think you have to throw away the diet because that's our culture and that's a representation of us. But I think we need to think about how we prepare the food. I think is what we put in the food now. The collard greens and the sweet yams. I see somebody throw a whole heap of white sugar in to get sweet yams done. I think we should probably substitute for better, use better and more healthier products to make sure that the food is digestible for our systems. That's what I would say.
Well said. And clearly said. We appreciate you. All right, Jacques, you're up. Do we need to rethink the Caribbean diet?
I think there are parts of it, to his point, that should be rethought. But one of the things that I found is as we throw away aspects of our food and parts of our culture, other ethnic groups pick it up and put it on a platform that allows for them to make millions of dollars by marketing our food in a way in which we have not capitalized on. I mean, if you take something as simple as avocados, which we call pear in the islands, all of a sudden now there's this popularity about avocado toast. That's something that we ate as kids, as we call it in the islands, bread and pear. And then all of a sudden now you go into a Starbucks or you go into any fancy restaurant in Manhattan or any part of the US, and there's this, popularity that has almost emerged over the last 2 years for this so-called new product, avocado toast. So that's one of the things that if you look at it, that we can say, okay, it's a throwaway, but the other ethnicities have picked it up. And they're marketing what we've eaten for hundreds of years. And they're making millions and possibly billions off of it. So I'll give you another example. The beef patty, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Caribbean product. If you really think about it, the beef patty has almost become like a hamburger. 7-Eleven is now carrying beef patties. If you go in many of the pizza shops in Brooklyn or in parts of the Bronx or just about any part of New York City, they have the cheesy beef patty. So they've taken a product that has come from our culture and they've added maybe one more element to it. And again, they're making millions of dollars in profits off of what we are known to consume for many, many years. So if you look at those two items in their simplicity, other ethnicities have chosen to pick up parts of our culture, and they've monetized it in a way that we have monetized, but they've also replicated being able to monetize that in ways that we have not been able to, by adding a sophisticated name to it, or by adding cheese to a beef patty and calling a cheesy beef patty. I agree with your point that we add a lot of sugar and sometimes too much salt to various aspects of our food. That's a way in which the food has morphed, in which is not necessarily beneficial for our health. But if we were to go back to the traditional methods of preparing our food, like we did 20, 30, 40 years ago, like our grandparents did, those foods have significant health and dietary benefits. So I think if we were to just go back to the traditional ways of preparing our food, it's always a win-win for us if we're able to do that.
I hear you.
Yeah,
Stabby looks like he wants to jump in already.
No. That presentation was really good. A lot of the information is correct, and I do agree with a lot of the information. But I don't know if I could speak.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we're in the back and forth. Now that you've both had a clear moment and you've given us a lot to think about, now we could definitely go back and forth.
So I would agree with him, but we also can admit that a lot of stuff from before, where we say the good old time days, we were more on feeling than science, and you need a balance of both. Like let me say breadfruit. When you check breadfruit, it has little or no nutritional value, but it's a starch. And you will cook breadfruit, roast breadfruit stays really good. But when it breaks down into the body, it breaks down into the body as sugar. Now, I agree. As I say, I agree wholeheartedly. That's why I ended on culture. It's part of our culture, and I agree with that. But as he said, there's some stuff that they did before, like how they was soaked on the rice, 2 days, 3 days. I made sure now that the lectins, the bad lectins that is getting to your body and draw and clump up. Let me see like any debris, like dead cells and stuff like that is clump up, right, onto the lectins, and then it does block or inhibit your body in ways which can be cancerous. So so that's why people go with brown rice over white rice. But is it really that the brown rice is way healthier? Because studies have shown like it barely healthier, because how they wash the rice using bleach. And then on the other side, basically they're giving you the raw husk there, so you really have to soak it and clean it. And because of, as he said, the older diet, this is where I also agree with him. A lot of people just take the rice and put water in it, and then go and cook it. So when you take brown rice, which comes straight from the ground, not washed, and put in straight into a bag, because it's not processed. That's the difference between white rice and brown rice. One is processed with bleach and needs to be washed out. And then one doesn't have anything in it, but it still comes straight from the dirt and the ground. So I do agree with him with how we prepare. And I do agree with that, but there's still certain certain starches that we do use that have no nutritional value, and if not balanced with a like portion control, as I said, and exercise. And if you're not doing that, then it could cause more problems, which is still to the person to make sure their health is right. Mm-hmm. But that's what I would say on that.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to talk about what the traditional diet is a little bit, right? So we can see too, our greater audience is definitely filled with people of Caribbean heritage, West Indian heritage, but we also have many people who do not grow up in the Caribbean, and so they may only see Caribbean diet as what's in a restaurant, or what somebody introduced them, one person introduced them to, right? or what they saw on vacation that one time. What to me, traditional West Indian diet, I think is different from the different islands, and different based on what part of the island you're on. So for me personally, my family coming from Guag in Grenada is a fisherman's town. And so the traditional diet will be mainly fish and vegetables in the week. And then on the weekend, maybe one day you'll have meat, or you'll have chicken. In that, you'll also have porridge in the mornings. And that's the traditional diet, right? Meanwhile, is that the diet that they eat in Guelph right now? Not on a regular basis, right? Now we've also added in fried chicken, and we've already added in hamburgers, we've added in macaroni and cheese, macaroni pie, and we've added in other things, right? So for me, when I think of traditional, I go back to what my father said my grandfather ate, right? So is that the same for you guys? Or are you thinking traditional as in just what is eaten on the islands now?
Now you go ahead, sir.
Well, traditional in the sense that, the beans, the peas, the fruits, the nuts, the vegetables, we have to get back to that, like the gentleman said. I mean, if we can get back to eating more of those types of foods that are not refined or processed, that's where you have the advantage. I think we've kind of gotten away from our traditional West Indian diet because we're eating more foods that are packaged or processed. And if we were to double back to the traditional types of foods in the way in which, again, our grandparents and foreparents prepared those types of food, whether it's fish or meats or beans or fresh fruits and vegetables, consumed in moderation, that's the advantage. The whole idea for us, if we want to be able to live longer, live healthier, live happier, we have to stay away from the processed foods and eat more foods that are unrefined. So I think that's what he was alluding to. And if we can do that, we can still keep our diet, but we just have to figure out how do we manage that in such a way that we're staying away from the refined processed foods and eating foods that are more natural and healthier, that are coming from the ground and that are not processed or refined.
I agree.
Fish is never refined. Beans, if you pick it from the farm, they're never refined. I just traveled to the islands just a couple of weeks ago, and I had some pineapple and I had some plantains right from the farm, and they were the sweetest thing I've ever tasted in my life. Obviously, you need the glucose, you need the sugar for energy. So, of course, anything that you consume too much of is not good for you. But, as the gentleman here said before, 10, 15, 20 years ago, we ran around on the track all day. We walked to school. We played soccer outside with our friends. So we burned off those calories. We burned off the sugar that came from the natural foods. And as a consequence of that, we weren't as unhealthy or obese or as sick. But now we're still eating all of that food. And I think our problem is that we're just not as active as we need to be. So I don't think it's so much more about the food. I think it's more about our lifestyle choices and the fact that many of us are not mobile enough. We're not active. We're not exercising. If we were to continue to eat the way in which we ate 15, 20 years ago, unrefined foods, unprocessed foods, and being more active, we can certainly live longer, happier, healthier, and still continue to eat our traditional West Indian food.
Okay.
I agree. And I will echo on that fact as well. Like this conversation, when we talk about the food, because it is like a door to so many other problems that we do have, like without the exercise, without the health regimen. This leads into personal, like you taking care of your personal, taking care of yourself.
Right.
So also too, you have to trust where you get food from, because some people, the practices are different. So it depends on where you buy the food from. You gotta make sure you can trust the vendor that's selling the food, because some people ain't really don't prepare food the same way. Some people haven't, up to now, with sea salt is not that much expensive, way expensive than the normal table salt. Some people haven't substituted table salt for sea salt. Some people haven't stopped using white sugar because it's cheaper than brown sugar. And brown sugar is not way better than white sugar, but brown sugar better than white sugar. By a something, by a smidgen, and using, let me say, a low glycemic sugar replacements, sweeteners, agave and stuff like that. So I find like, and like with me, as you look and see my teeth, other than my two front teeth that crack, we don't actually have, we are not carnivores. We should be eating more like a vegetables and the fruits and stuff like that. So we gotta make sure, because why not hitting at the food too hard is that is our culture. That's a representation of us, and I directly, and I do appreciate that fact, and I do agree with that. But on the other side, should we really be eating those stuff? Like when we did pudding and sauce in Barbados, that came from working on a plantation, and they give you all the pig guts to laugh at we. You were like old pieces of meat and stuff. And what we did, we had to use sugar. We had to use salt to season it, to make it taste good, because we eating pig belly, and we take something that was supposed to be negative from them, and we turn it into something not really wholesome, but something that we could eat and that we could taste, and it tasted good, different from what they intended it to be. So in that, so to me, in that time, it made sense. In that time when we were on the plantation and you had to eat what they give you, that made sense. That diet then continued and passed down. Well, we became, I would say, liberated, and I would put that in inverted commas because we understand how the system is still when it comes to race. And we become more civilized, and you have your own businesses, and things start to slow down. Now you have more office job, less mobile overall when it comes to when it comes to our jobs. Like they are not much laborers. Everybody more in the office, more people more gaming and doing stuff like that. And as you said, the diet continued, and it got worse and worse and worse. And instead of finding ways to circumvent that from going this far, where we got a lot of amputees with the sugar, with the diabetes and stuff like that, we just continued the diet, and it just got worse and worse as each year went on, each generation.
Well, let's talk about that. Like some would say that going to a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet is an extreme of, the Caribbean diet. That would be completely overhauling everything, because we have, meat at every meal. Are we ready for that? Is that sustainable? I mean, and really and truly, I'm genuinely asking, is that sustainable in the Caribbean? Because while I know that there are still farmers in the Caribbean, and people do grow things on their own, is there enough for everybody, right? Is there enough to keep up with the demand if we do go towards a vegan or vegetarian diet? And is that going too far from the traditional West Indian diet?
Well, I think a huge part of the problem is the Western marketing machine has done an incredible job of marketing processed foods and refined foods to us, regardless of where we are, even to us in the islands. And what I've found is that people in the islands have drifted away from our traditional methods, traditional ways of consuming our food, and we've gravitated more and more towards what the marketing machine, the Western media, has been putting in our faces by way of social media or the television or the radio and various commercials. The Burger King, the Wendy's, the McDonald's, all of these foods that are processed that are not good for us. And we've gravitated towards that, and we've shunned away from, the stuff that is natural and grown, from the earth and picked from the farm a day ago. When you go to the islands, many of us are the folks who live there. If you observe how they eat, they're not interested in what was growing on the farm, whether it's in Grenada or Barbados or Jamaica. They're interested in the pasta, the refined sugars, the rice, the carbs, all of that stuff that, Western civilization has promoted and pushed in our faces, and we've taken the bait. That stuff is, as we know, is not good for us, but for many of us, we're not educated enough to know that, this is refined product and it's not good for us. I think the other part, the other argument to that is, as we evolve and we become more well off, we become persons who have a little bit more disposable income. We also lean more towards buying and consuming those products that are not good for us. A lot of the food that we consumed 30, 40, 50 years ago, I'll say that we ate that food because we were poor. And now what I find is that Westerners are coming to consume that food, not because they're poor, but because it's damn good. But for many of us, we've looked past the notion that this food is good for us, and we've gravitated towards Western food, while Westerners are gravitating towards our food because they recognize the benefits of consuming our food. So it's kind of a toss-up in terms of how our food is being consumed more and more by Westerners. And now we are gravitating towards the processed and refined foods that's not good for us. So that's an observation that I've made over the years. When I go to any part of the islands, most people who live in the islands, they're crazy about consuming, the pasta and the pizza and the Burger King and the McDonald's. And, as my colleague said, it's contributed to, massive obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure. But that's not coming from our food. That's coming from Western food that has been pushed into, the various islands. If we were to eat in the way in which our grandparents and great-grandparents ate 30, 40, 50 years ago, we would not have the issues of diabetes and high blood pressure and all of the other, health consequences that come with consuming Western food.
I think we've spoken about preparation of food. And I think just to be a little more specific, some things that come to mind for me is the idea of roasting food and steaming food. You have a good steamed fish, you have a nice roast breadfruit, nice roast corn. And
we did that. We did that 20, 30 years ago.
That's what I feel like when we're saying the Caribbean diet. Though of the things that I would think we should hold on to is steaming food, roasting food, using the natural oils, using the coconut oil to cook, in using the vegetables, mixing vegetables together, using what's in season. For many of us that are in the diaspora, we are so used to eating what we want to eat when we want to eat it. And so sometimes we eat a lot of food that we shouldn't be eating. It's not ready, it's not ripe, but we're eating it because I feel for a pineapple in the middle of winter. And so I must have it instead of waiting for it to properly grow and be in season. which is something in the Caribbean. Everybody will tell you what season it is, what's in season. This is what we're eating now, and this is what is not available, because no matter how many times I go to Grenada and cry for certain things, they will shut me down.
Yep.
And say, well, we know you're from America because you don't know that that's not the season for that. And we're not going to rush it just for you either. So that just for those who are not familiar with how foods are prepared, I think we should just highlight some of those preparations, because it makes a big difference. I mean, yes, we have fried fish, we have fried chicken, we have fried foods. But to your point, Jacques, I think those kinds of preparations are more the things we learn from Western civilization, and trying to do the things we've seen. I mean, every island at this point, I think, has a KFC, and not to bash, but I'm just saying, everybody in their house fries chicken as well. And so we're learning what other people do, and we are taking it on. This chick is in here, my fellow podcaster for the BK Rant Rave podcast, and she mentioned earlier, there are outside influences that really affect our diet and how we eat. There's someone like myself. I'm living in the States, and I can want certain things, but probably gonna do a little more of an American twist to the meal. I don't have the authentic way of making something. Like, if I make an oil down, it's gonna be on the stove in the kitchen. It's not gonna be outside over some coals and some wood. And so maybe I may take some liberties with some of the ingredients because it's not here and I can't find it, right? And so now we're introducing other things into the diet. So I think it's really good points that you guys are both making about how preparation affects the diet, and how going back to the natural forms of the food is very important. What do you guys think about education? What do you guys think about education? Is there enough education about food? Because I will just say that I think everybody has a grandmother or a great grandmother who knew what this tea is for, what this bush is for, and how it's going to benefit you and how it's going to heal you, right? Is there enough education about vegetation right now in the Caribbean?
Not nearly enough. And I think the bigger challenge to that is that, the life tree, the grandparents, great grandparents, and sometimes even our mothers and fathers, I think, are not doing a good enough job of passing on that knowledge to us, so that we also get to recognize and understand the benefits of the bush, the different teas that we can consume that are very similar to modern medicine for alleviating a headache or a cold, or of course, with the COVID crisis that we just went through, you heard that there were different remedies that Caribbean people were using to stave off, being able to not being able to contract COVID. So there's so many things that are just not being passed on. It's not being passed down. So that generational transfer that should take place, where we can acquire that basic knowledge to understand the benefits of the teas and the different bushes and things like turmeric that are good for heart health and preventing Alzheimer's. There's not enough being done to educate us and those that are our partners, relatives, children, sufficiently enough to make them understand all of these benefits that come from the various things that come out of the islands that are significantly beneficial to our health. I don't think there's enough being done about that.
I agree with that. I remember in school, you do, you had home ec, and, you know, to the first, to like the third grade, you would have to do certain subjects, and then you could choose the subjects you want to go and major in, right? So when they do home ec, all they're doing is teaching you how to do recipes. They never taught you about medicine, how to use thyme for no healing, which is like is antiseptic.
Right.
They more just tell you is make the food taste good, which is true. So they just put some thyme, put some marjoram, put some basil, and we going down the road.
Right.
So I find like obviously we knew where we came from. We came from the plantation kind, we came from that slavery, and to transfer the information, because a lot of us weren't literate. So they really wanted to stop the information. It made sense because they take the same sour salt leaf, which is good for inflammation, blood pressure, all those different things, anti-cancerous and stuff. They take properties from it. Then they, you know, as you say, process it.
Yep.
Break, water it down, water it down, water it down.
And here's a pill.
And then give you it. So, and you know, the hurtful thing about it is that we came from the monarchy. We came from, like, when it comes to Barbados, most people were ruled by Britain. So obviously when they came, they made sure the information, like when it comes to the school system, the syllabus must follow what? Who created the syllabus? So that's the weakness, is the strength of the governments to say, we are doing this. Because Barbados still attached to the Union Jack. There are a couple other countries that still attached to the Union Jack. And they, like, Jamaica could do something. I think Jamaica as a republic, I think Trinidad as a republic could probably do more because they answer to themselves in a sense, other than the, obviously we have agreements they were made with some of these other superpowers to get trade and stuff like that. But with Barbados now, it's like we still attached to Union Jack, and the syllabus, if you try to change the syllabus now, I know you can get fight. Even if Jamaica try to change the syllabus, they can still get fight in some way. They can say, we gonna hold back on this trade, we gonna hold back on, let me say, just for instance, just call, no, we's giving oil or whatever. We can cap the price of oil. We wanna go out to teach this. And that's the problem that we as Caribbean people face because our governments are not actually together. Remember when we had the federation and then that break up? It's very hard to get the islands to come together so then we could do certain things for ourselves, because it's important to teach that knowledge. We ain't gonna be able to get that knowledge unless we know as parents and stuff like that, do the research. And the way how the world is, everything is so fast paced now. You spend 12 hours at a job, you come home, you're tired. All you want to do is eat and sleep, and then go get her and go back to work. A lot of the middle class and a lot of the average people are poor. And most of the other jobs, where we call this blue collar or whatever, you just working all the time. It's hard to concentrate on this stuff, which is just as important, but to pay your bills at the same time, it's hard to weigh that. So I still understand it. I don't like it, but I understand why it is like how it is. So it's for us to just take, the onus is on us to make sure we just keep the information away.
Well, I hear you, Stabby. I hear you saying that we're not being educated enough, and Jacques is saying the same thing. And at some point, we have to take it upon ourselves to educate ourselves about what it is. I know for myself, a lot of times, some of the history and the information is not passed down from generation to generation. Maybe somebody has that information, everybody looks to that one person, and so they know all the bush, and we just go to them and we figure out, you know, what to drink for this, what to drink for that, when to eat this and that, and they hold that information, and then they're gone, and the information is gone. So we have to do better, West Indian on a whole. And also, I'm looking at the comments on YouTube, and MSV Boss is in total agreement with Stabby that food should be our medicine. She even noted, you know, MSV boss even noted that when we're talking about frying foods, that it's boiling our insides. And so we have to really look at how we're preparing our food. And Crest 718516 noted that same thing that Jacques is saying, that the other cultures are making billions off of the spices, the bush, the food, the natural foods that we know we've been eating for generations. And so it is now time for us to reclaim not only the food, the information, our bodies, but reclaim our money.
Yep.
This is a food is a
$1 billion
business.
business. Yep.
Food is a business.
Yep.
And we can't just give it to someone else.
Well, I mean,
I just want to make a one side note also that this is the third live debate and the third time that federation has been brought up. And listen, it did not work out, and it's still needed. Unity is a must. Unity is a must, because we're all dealing with many similar things. We're all dealing with a lot in the Caribbean. And if our voices are brought together, we can educate each other, we can build the money together, we can definitely thrive more. But Jacques, go ahead.
And what I was gonna add to that is what we have to strive to do is to create platforms that speak to our interests, that can fill that generational gap, can educate all of us in either one singular place or multiple places, where we can find that information and make it clearly and abundantly available, as to the benefits of turmeric, the benefits of this tea or that tea, the benefits of this type of food. Where can you purchase it? Where can you find it? Where can you easily acquire it? We don't have any platform that I can think of that speaks to that. And I think that's where the huge void is. And to your point, until we claim that space, we're always going to struggle with that.
Yeah,
I agree. The to what you said, we have to find intriguing people to give the information to relay the information as well. People that I think indiscipline is the real life of us now. A lot of people don't want to be disciplined, and that's just what's been passed on. This is as we've been taught, generational curses. This is the white man's word, so and so and so. I never tell my son that, but we've been told these things from younger, like keep your head down, this, that, the next. And what that does is hinder us, because when we get to a point where we feel free, we won't fully let go. But anyway, that was a different conversation. What I'm saying is, like when they say when you hold back the horse, and then the horse is bull, when it get there, it's run. And I think it's very hard for people to sit down and be disciplined. It sounds like, oh, you're trying to lock me down again, and it goes back and makes them feel, and that's the mental block of what slavery did to us. So until we come together and we find unique ways, because there are some people they find intriguing, like how when they speak, you want to listen, you want to be a part of it. Layla Africa, and like even when you see Dr. Sebi speaking and stuff like that, there are some people that don't make it feel like, they had those teachers that you will drop sleep in the class. Then they have other teachers that will teach the same subject. So we gotta be careful who we have picked to relay the information. So it's a lot of work, and I just really hope we really start to come together soon, because our culture, even from the same carnival that we see with Michael B, taking up Juve and doing a rum. I don't know if you were privy to that.
That was our second debate. Our second debate was should Michael B. Jordan name his rum Juve. I'm ruining the title of the debate, but that was our second debate. We had a whole discussion on whether or not it was okay to trademark an actual event that is held, the name of an event that's held throughout the Caribbean, and that has so much significance. Is that okay to use that trademark for one rum? So if you guys haven't seen it, go on BK Rant Rave YouTube and you can catch it, the full replay, because that one was debated between this chick and myself.
And that's why we have to claim our territory, claim our space, claim our brands, claim our names, claim our islands, claim our products. Because if we don't do that, someone else will do it for us in a way that does not benefit us. And they will monetize it in ways in which we have not, which is exactly what we're looking to do with JamaicanFood.com. Not only will be a global platform where you can purchase just about any product that comes out of the Caribbean, packaged food or produce, but also, to create that space where that missing link for the bush teas and the turmeric and the various, great nuances that come out of the islands. We're looking to create a space where you can go and research and find that particular tea, that leaf, that soursop, that surseed, that turmeric, and also understand the benefits of using those types of products in a way in which I don't think that there's a space that speaks to that right now. So we have to claim our territory. If we don't do that, it's so obvious that someone else, and I don't want to say Michael Jordan is an outsider, but someone else will claim it if we don't. So we have to.
Correct.
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned JamaicanFood.com, because I was about to draw you out and let people know that there is a source. There is a place you can go to get these foods, to get that piece of home, and that not only are you going to provide the food, but as far as the conversations I've had with you, that you're going to be making sure that the food is not coming spoiled and it's coming fresh, which is huge, because we know there are many places where we can buy food and it's not always fresh.
Well, the whole idea is to create a marketplace, a global marketplace that allows for Caribbean people, West Indian people to be able to go on to and point, click, and purchase and get your box of groceries within 24 hours, right at your doorstep. So whether it's the turmeric or the ackee or the breadfruit or the mango or any kind of packaged or produce item that you would go to the Asian vendor and purchase, in another couple of months, you'll be able to go on to JamaicanFood.com and purchase any number of those products. Get your box of groceries shipped directly to your home. So we have to claim that space. We have to.
That's wonderful, Jacques. We'll be looking out for that. And Stabby, I'm not bypassing you either. I think you have a great service at I'll Be Vegan. I'd love for you to talk about it a little bit, about the kind of supplements that you have available, and the consultations that you have. And just because we're here just to talk about each other's businesses, because I want people to know there's resources out there. If we don't tell people about the resources, they won't know. We're talking about education. We're telling people it's great to be educated. And quite frankly, if somebody tells me, it's in this book, go there, it's a lot easier than me researching and trying to figure out which book to go look at. So tell us a little more about I'll Be Vegan, please.
Right. So I'll Be Vegan. We launched at the top of this year because we found that there was a need for that, especially in the timing that we were in with the COVID and stuff like that. Is cleansing is the start of all healing, right? You gotta make sure you get out your body's way so you could correct any illness, any infection. You have to get out your body's way. So we sell natural products to cleanse the body and to also put back in nutrients, all natural, 100% vegan, no animal products, nothing like that. You could get like organ cleanses, things for skin, things for face, lungs, liver, like to make sure that you cleanse your body and get right. We do vegan cooking classes. We have one this Sunday. it might be too late. You might still be able to get on now if you want to do a vegan cooking class, so you can understand like vegan isn't boring. You understand? You could make it up, trust me. And once you get the basics of it, you'll be able to just express yourself the same way, like if you're cooking with meat, but it's just a substitute. And you wouldn't even miss the meat, like when you taste these dishes and stuff like that. It's to get people more into that, so they do stay healthy. Also, too, we have the in partnership with V's Transitional Health and Fitness, we do online fitness classes, so you could get your personal one-on-one training classes, basically laid out for you what you need. And there's also overall classes like full body workout, step class, stuff like that to make sure we burn the calories and stuff like that. Also, if you want to transition into a vegan health, lifestyle, we help you with that too as well. And the first consultation is free, because I think it's important to get the dialogue started so you will know that you're not alone. And then we build from that, and we build a plan designed for you to make sure we get you to transition the right way. And yeah, get you on that path. So lbvegan.com. You can check us out.
Awesome.
Excellent. And just I'm not typing in the I'm gonna type in the chat. It's ISLE. So Isle is in the island, ilbvegan.com.
Yeah.
And you know what? Big up yourself, Jamaica. We all know how to spell Jamaican. It's jamaicanfood.com.
Keeping in mind, though, keeping in mind that we're all from the Caribbean. So
Yes.
jamaicanfood.com is not only for Jamaicans. It speaks to, creating a service and offering products for the entire Caribbean space. But I saw it important to claim the name jamaicanfood.com more than 10 years ago to add value and to be able to create this platform that I think will serve us very well.
That's amazing. I want to recap a few of the points made today. I think I don't want to brush over what Stabby said several times, that some things in the traditional Caribbean diet come from sheer survival from slavery, right? So there were times when the African people were given scraps and had to make do and try to make them edible, basically, right? And so what we can do and make them last, right? So before there was refrigeration, before there was a way to sustain food, right? So we're eating now the saltfish. We're eating now pigtail, souse, and things that at this moment, if you research, perhaps you don't need all of those things. Perhaps you don't need them together. Perhaps you have to make sure your lifestyle is conducive to what you're eating, right? So where you would have been toiling, working, walking, running, very active all day, and certain amount of starches made sense. Carb loading makes sense when you're running marathons. Carb loading makes sense when you're on your feet all day and you're very active. It may not make sense when you're at a desk job, when you're working at a chair in front of a computer for hours on end. So everybody has to, what I'm hearing is that there is no, yes, change your diet immediately tomorrow. There is assess what you're eating, assess how you're eating it. I think Jacques and Stabby were in agreement that how we prepare our food is a major factor. Are you frying your foods? How often are you frying your foods? Right? We didn't really speak about
what oils are you using as well.
Yeah, what oils are using. We didn't speak about frequency, because like I said, my grandfather ate red meat maybe once a week.
Moderation.
right?
Yeah.
So moderation is a whole other thing, right? So if you're eating fried chicken twice a month, it's not the same as if you're eating it, twice a week, right? So so some of the things we're talking about is preparation. What tweaks can you make in order to keep that traditional taste, but just make sure that you're not adding processed foods to it. You're not adding unnecessary sugars to it. And unity. I feel like that was an underlying part of the conversation, that we really need to work together to share the knowledge of the nutritional benefits of the foods that come out of the Caribbean, and how to use those foods, whether it's bush, in teas, whether it's how we're adding fruits and vegetables to our diet to have balance in our day. We have to educate each other, because I know that there's a lot of things I ate and had no clue that there was a benefit to it. I drink sorrel for Christmas because it tastes good. I had no clue until I was an adult that there is medicinal benefits for.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right. And so if we're not educating ourselves and we're just going through the motions, then we're also losing out. And then we got to take back the money. We got to take back the money on our culture.
That's a huge piece.
So both of you would say use soursop, right? So we can use soursop for a detox. You can use soursop for a benefit. But it's something that in the past, we eat, we drink, and it's just a thing that's there. It's just growing and we grab it.
You could go on Amazon and buy it. You can actually go on Amazon and buy soursop leaves, and then come in from us.
Right.
Unbelievable.
There are places where you can buy baskets of fruit and vegetables that come from the Caribbean that are sold by people who are not from the Caribbean, and they are astronomical, the prices. And people pay it because they want a taste of the Caribbean.
Yes, let's change that dynamic.
Correct.
Let's reclaim that money. Let's reclaim that education. I'm just gonna check in with the YouTube live. This chick says she makes a mean Guyanese chow mein, vegan Guyanese chow mein. So that's to tell you that even though she didn't go to Stabby's cooking class, there are ways to get that taste of home.
There you go.
And tweak it a little bit. So she's having vegan chow mein. Cress is trying to nominate me as the source of information for the Caribbean. I am not taking on that responsibility, but I will keep my eye out for I'll Be Vegan and JamaicanFood.com. And so many people are so thankful for this conversation because they think that the information that both of you have given is very necessary. The perspectives that you both have given is really, really appreciated. And like I said to you guys before we got on here, I knew this would be a fun, cordial conversation. And you did me proud, because I know a lot of people have these conversations and it's just bite, bite, bite. When you're home, it's like, no, I don't want to be vegan, and just shut it down. No, no, I don't need to change anything. I need to stay. Oh, yes, everything needs to change. And the conversation ends. But I think we got to have clear information on all sides. And I kind of feel like we all said, yes, it needs to change and stay the same, right? Like
only certain aspects, I think.
Right? Like some things clearly need to change. Some things definitely need to stay, and you need to do your research to figure out for your body, for yourself, for your family, what those things are.
It's very simple though. Go back to our traditional diet, stay away from the refined sugars of the processed food, and you'll be okay. And eat everything in moderation, and you'll be fine.
With some exercise.
And exercise. Gotta make that a lifestyle choice. Absolutely.
And move your body. I love it. Okay. Guys, I'm not gonna hold you anymore, but I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I truly appreciate you coming on here with your wisdom and with your expertise. You are both very well known in your respective industries, and so I am so happy that you said yes to come on. So once again, for those of you joining late, we have Jacques Graham, a restaurateur and the founder of JamaicanFood.com, and we have Soca artist Stabby De Guard, Michael Bowen, and also the co-founder of I'll Be Vegan. Please follow them however you can. If Stabby, I know you can tell me how to follow you. Jacques, I don't know. I feel like you just like to stay under the radar.
No. It's Stabby. I'll let you go first.
Stabby, how can people follow you?
You can follow me, Stabby Live, STABBYLIVE, or I'll Be Vegan is ISLEBE, vegan, VEGAN, and that's it on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Jacques.
And for me, it's real simple. You can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook at We Are Jamaican Food. We are Jamaican Food.
Excellent.
We are the world. Nah, but honestly, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you.
Thank you, sir.
What you stand for as well. And,
thank you. You as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, man. This was a good dialogue. I think it was too sharp, but the amount of information really needed.
I agree.
Because this leads to so many other things.
Yeah.
Yes.
So hopefully the dialogue does continue, even if somebody else picks it up. Please, Jamila, please continue. It's very important for our people.
Thank you so much.
Jamila. This was awesome. I really enjoyed this. You know, I'm not big on these types of things, but
see, that's probably why she chose us, because it's like me.
I appreciate you both. I really do. Stepping out of your comfort zones to come on, because we needed the information, and so I didn't want to rely on people who were just going to give lip service and don't live this life. So I had to reach out to people who had expertise. So I thank you, and I know we are just scratching the surface. But this is the summer now. Everybody can bring these conversations to your home, to your friends. Start doing your research, and follow BK Rant Rave.
By the way, I want to add one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you go, so you can follow us on Instagram at We Are Jamaican Food, and if you want to partner with us, if you have a product that you think would be suitable for our platform, you can reach me at JamaicanFood.com and just leave your information, leave your details, and we'll get back to you.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're building business for sure.
Yes, there's tons of great product that comes out of the Caribbean. Stabby, I'm sure that your vegan products, there may be a place if you're interested on our platform for your product. Let's talk. Just get onto JamaicanFood.com. You can share my information, my contact with them as well. And if you have a great product that you think that you can scale up and add to our platform, just go on to JamaicanFood.com, leave your details, and we'll get back to you.
I definitely will. I appreciate that, man. Bless.
Well, that's the best way to end it. I love it. You can, anyone who's watching tonight, you can tell a friend that this will be, the recording will stay on BK Rant and Rave YouTube channel. And you can also get it on the podcast. So go to bkrantandrave.com. The podcast is up on iTunes and Spotify. So wherever you are, we are. So my name is Jamila Glean, and I represent SocaSaySo and BK Rant and Rave. Thank you all so much for joining the conversation. Please spread the word. And we've got one more debate coming up. So look out for the upcoming date for the next rant on Can I Rant? BK Rant and Rave. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamila. Great job. Stabby, take care. Thank you.
You take care too as well.